And the transfer portal's open. And it's worse than it was just a year ago. And I warned you this was going to happen. Let's talk about that next on the ProZone. Welcome to the ProZone. I'm Matt Roberts. So transfer portal's opened as of January 2nd in full effect, right? And according to ESPN, 4,500 football players entered the portal within like 2 days of it being open. 4,500 football players. That's 31.5% of all college football players entered the portal. It's been 2 days at that moment. 2 days that 31.5% entered. If you look at the odds, the numbers, the percentages of getting picked up off the portal, those are incredibly low. We're looking 25 to 30% of all people that enter the portal may get picked up. May. That's just a generous estimate. May get picked up. So what you have to do is you have to give up your scholarship if you have one. You have to enter the portal, and then you have to hope that a coach finds you on the portal among 4,500 other players. Not to mention the JUCO and prep players that the coaches are looking at. Not to mention the players that are already on the teams that the coaches are going to re-recruit, because the order of priority for recruiting now, it goes re-recruiting, so recruiting your own players to stay on your team, portal, JUCO prep, high school. High school's way down there now. The coaches, especially your bigger schools, your Power 4 schools, they're not going to pick up a high school athlete unless that athlete is top tier. Okay? Some will say a 5-star rating athlete. The star ratings, they're basically bullshit. Coaches have bought into it for years. It's become part of the culture now. I'm going to do a separate little short bit that's going to come up about I'll do it now. Your star ratings they're bullshit. And here's what I mean. When you're going to do a star rating for a football player, what they're doing, any athlete, but what you're looking at is you have 3 sources that determine the star rating. Okay? You got 24/7 Sports. You have Rivals, who've been doing it for a real long time, and ESPN. It used to be pretty much ESPN and Rivals, and then 24/7 Sports came on later. But it's those 3. Are those coaches making those ratings? No. Are they scouts? No. Are they former players? Most likely not. They probably didn't even play past high school, if they played in high school at all. You have sports bloggers, sports writers who are making an evaluation of athletes. Oh, they watch enough of the athletes, they should know. They don't watch all the athletes. That's the problem. See, that's where they get you. What they do is they take the easy, lazy way out. If they want to be thorough, they would evaluate every athlete and give them all star rating. But what they do is they don't rate anybody unless they see them in a certain capacity. If they watch them at a bowl game, if they watch them play in college, if they're a high-profile athlete already going in, or if they go to one of those Under Armour camps or ESPN-sponsored camps or one of these other camps that they want you to go to, the check-the-box camps that you have to go to. If they go to those, then they go, oh, well, from that, we can evaluate these athletes, and then they rate them. And here's how I know it's bullshit, because I do recruiting for athletes, market them to colleges, get them exposure. I've been doing this for over 20 years. Okay. One athlete that I worked with, his name was Mike Daniels. Mike Daniels played for Highland Regional High School. It's a little small school in Blackwood, New Jersey. They weren't winning anything. They were a bad team. They just didn't win. But Mike was a very talented player. So he came to me. He said, hey, can you help me out? I want to go Division I. I said, it was late. It was like, mid-December of his senior year. I was like, holy crap, man. Yeah, okay. And that was a different time. We're looking at 2007, right? So I marketed him to the schools. We built his video. I pushed him out to about 50 different schools, got him a whole lot of exposure, and there was a lot of interest. All of a sudden, no one knew who he was, and they saw his put together project, nice DVD. It was all professional. The highlight video was top tier, because that's what I do. And his talent spoke for itself. Now, a good kid, had good grades, played like a stud, and he got interest. So I had coaches calling me up, well, can you get this kid to come to us? And at West Point, where I played, they were like, can you tell him where to go? I said, I'm not telling him where to go. That's not my job. I don't tell him where to go. He's going to make his decision between him and his parents. So anyway, he ended up getting an offer from University of Iowa. Now, Mike had 0 stars, according to Rivals. 0. So he was a 0-star athlete. But then he gets a deal with the University of Iowa. They offered him a full ride. He gets his deal, and all of a sudden, Mike has 2 stars on Rivals. I'm like, where'd that come from? So I call Rivals up and say, hey, guys, where's this star rating coming from all of a sudden? Oh, well, he got a deal from Iowa. I'm like, so you didn't evaluate him beforehand. You only gave him 2 stars because now you know he has a deal with a school. So you're just kind of throwing out a number. Oh, well, yeah, okay. And that's when I learned the star rating's bullshit. But the problem is, coaches, a lot of your coaches, it's part of the culture. They bought into the BS, and now it's part of their culture to look at the star ratings because they think it means something. Not all coaches, but enough of them, especially younger ones who have grown up with the star ratings, because now we're looking at 20 years later, almost 20 years later. So 20 years later, their whole life, for a whole generation, it's been star ratings mean something. So there you go. Now it's part of the culture. Coaches will look at stars and go, well, star rating, but it doesn't always match up. You'll have players who are 0-star athletes who do amazing work, who are amazing players. You'll have 5-star athletes who are a bust. And that's what comes with these sports writers who are writing about these athletes. They don't analyze everybody. And they most certainly didn't play the game. I can almost make book on the fact that they didn't play, at least not in a college level or higher capacity. And they weren't a coach. So they just kind of make it up. There you go. That's where star ratings come from. So anyway, so now you're entering the portal, and the coaches are going to go for players who have value. All right, your higher ranked players, star rated players in some cases, right? And they're going to look for the best people to fill a spot on their team. Now, I've had parents, I'm recruiting one athlete, marketing one athlete right now, who is a linebacker, and he's a talented linebacker. Not really a D1 linebacker. He's a small, maybe a small FCS type linebacker. Definitely not a FBS linebacker. But the problem is that he's a little slow. So he runs like a 4.8 40 when he should be running like a 4.5 or 4.6. And because of that, that's a number that the coaches aren't going to like that much. So they're going to say 4.8 40, too slow for me to be a middle linebacker. But I told his father, I said he should probably play a down lineman on that one. With a 4.8, that's fast for a down lineman. Put on some weight. He's already a big dude. He's over 6'2". And he should play down line. And the father said to me, and this is, I can't blame the father for this. He says, well, I'm hoping some coaches will see him in a different position. Well, see, that's the difference. Back in the day, as recently as 2019, I could market an athlete at a position. Like, for example, usually January, when it gets late in the game, I get a lot of coaches that would call me up, or I'd call them and say, what do you guys need? And they say, usually it was offensive, defensive linemen, safeties. So I would say, I got a guy for you. Maybe you could see him in that position. I give them a guy, and they'll say, okay, cool. I like him. I'll take a look at him, and we'll try to fit him into that spot. They don't have to do that anymore because the portal gives them players from which to choose. So if they need a guy to play safety, they don't have to look at a quarterback and try to squeeze him into a safety position, which they often do for shorter quarterbacks. They will find a safety on the portal and fill their need, which hurts the high school players. So now there's no coaches, very few coaches, not no, but very few, especially at the bigger schools, who will say, well, he doesn't play this position, but I could try him there, or I could see there's a potential that we can make him a defensive lineman. They don't need to do that anymore. They don't need to groom an athlete, condition an athlete, train him to be in that position. They just don't. And to be honest with you, why would they want to try? You know, you athletes are losing your minds. You're with a school for a year, and then you leave. I'm like, there's guys who have left schools every single year and kept changing schools. You see, the portal, as I warned you, the portal, since episode one of the ProZone Show, the portal made it the Wild Wild West. And what you had in terms of history is you had an athlete who ended up being a couple athletes that went in with him. They sued the NCAA because the rules were you transfer one time and then you have to sit out, can't transfer again. They said, I want to transfer more than once. So they sued. 7 states' attorneys generals jumped on board. For some reason, they got involved. And then they said, we're going to file an injunction against the NCAA so nobody can transfer as long as this is a court case being heard, right? So the NCAA says, well, damn it, we can't do that because that's going to screw up all the kids. And typical NCAA, they caved. Instead of fighting the lawsuit and dealing with it and then making this person the scapegoat, say, look, man, this guy's trying to sue. This is ridiculous. No, they said, we're going to cave. Okay, fine. You can transfer as many times as you want. Now, I think the NCAA thought it was going to go away. I think they thought they were going to win in the long run, but they didn't win. Okay? And it opened Pandora's box. Well, they just washed their hands of the whole thing and said everybody could just transfer. Well, now they're transferring like crazy all the time, every single year. They're abusing it. And that comes from culture. What you have right now is you have a bunch of kids, a bunch of young athletes, young men, I didn't say they're kids because they're adults, 18 and up, who are of the culture where they are used to getting their own way. They're used to getting participation trophies. They're used to getting things handed to them. If someone says, if a coach says to you in high school, no, you can't do X, Y, and Z, they will complain to their parents, and their parents will complain to the coach, and the parents will go higher and complain to the athletic director or the superintendent, who will then rain hellfire down on the coach and then make things very, very difficult. We always had helicopter parents for years, okay? I've had them for decades, but now they're getting even more, more overzealous, more ballsy, because they're demanding everything. Instead of teaching their kids, look, you got to wait your turn, you got to develop, get better, you'll earn your spot. They're like, you got to play my kid. Otherwise, I'm not going to play him here. Here's an example. I know a coach, and he had a player that they recruited for his team because they're a private school. Recruited a kid for basketball. This is basketball. The kid wasn't playing as well, and the coach was trying some other kids out. And the father said to the coach, he said, look, if you don't play my kid, if he has to sit, then he's not going to play here. He says, look, your kid's going to have to sit because he's not doing the right things. He has to learn to do the right things, and then we'll get him back in. But he has to do it the way we need it done because that's the team. And the father said, well, nope, we're taking him out, and we're going to go to another school. And that was it. That's the culture. And you're like, well, it's just a private school. Right, but it happens in public schools too. There's a whole cheating culture in high schools. In New Jersey, specifically, where I'm located, oh, my God. There's a cheating culture that's been going on for a very long time. And the NCAA does nothing to stop that. I have a separate video about a ruling the NCAA came out with that I need to discuss. We'll touch base on that in another episode of the ProZone Show. But even with public schools, they're going to move kids around. They stack the deck. They recruit kids from out of district or out of state to be on a team, to build a winner. And then they don't develop talent in high school. It's a cultural thing that started with youth sports. Youth sports has been a nightmare because you're just developing these teams that are super teams. You bring in kids and you like it's basically LeBron James syndrome. LeBron James doesn't want to be on a team and grow that team and build a winner around him. He wants to go to a team and bring in other players and then create a winning team, hopefully by pulling in all-stars. That's what a lot of players are doing now. And it creates a spoiled culture of kids. So the kids now are going into college with a sense of entitlement. I can go where I want to go. And if I don't like it, I'm going to sue. So you have all these people suing. They sued for NIL money. They sue for transfer portal. And it's interesting is that, like, you had Nick Saban, who got out quickly when he saw this start happening with the transfer portal and NIL money. Okay? Name him, didn't like this money. He got out quick. But because he saw that it wasn't going to be about developing players anymore, it was going to be basically turning it into a semi-pro league. And it really is. They need to fix the NCAA, but it's kind of beyond fixing now because they've had so many people transferring. It's now been going on for what? 3 years? 2 years now? This is like 2 years of transfer portal at its current incarnation, with a massive numbers of people going. Every year it gets worse and worse, right? And players just don't want to stay on a team anymore because they're trying to chase money. Now, it's not all players, but a vast majority of them want that extra money. So you're in a position now, and there's coaches out there who are getting upset about it. So all of a sudden, the coaches are upset. Now the coaches are getting worked up. Not all of them, but enough of them, because now it's a lot more vocal. You look at on X, formerly Twitter, the coaches are starting to say, "This is if you're going to come to me, you're going to ask for money, then we're not going to pick you up, and we don't like this portal thing." And there's always people that are saying stuff about the portal, of how bad it is, and how no money's bad. You guys created this. You embraced this, coaches. When it all started, you were all in on this thing. Not every single one of you, but a vast majority of you were all in. You went, "Oh, this is kind of cool. I can stack the deck with talented players from other teams." And the settlement, House versus NCAA, that gave you the ability to have, 1 year and 2 year scholarships now to athletes, which helps you to get kids off the portal who have been in a school for 2 years, have 2 years left. You can offer them a 2-year scholarship now or a 1-year scholarship now so you can fill your need of players from the portal. You love this. Your settlement gave you $20 million to pay these kids, and you were all about it, okay? But now you're seeing that there's a lot of problems. Not all of you, but a lot of you, because you have other coaches who just love it. They love the fact that there's a portal out there. They love the fact that they can stack the deck every year. But what they don't love is when players start leaving the team. Now, am I faulting the players for doing this? Partially. There's no 100% right on this situation. The only time you're right when you enter the portal, really right, is if you're sitting and not doing anything and you're looking for a better opportunity, but you've given it a shot. If you've been in a school for a year, 2 years, and you're trying to earn your bones and you keep seeing them bringing in new players and they're pushing them ahead of you and you're going, I'm never going to get a chance to play. I'm unhappy. It might be time for me to try my talents elsewhere. Okay? I can get that. If it's a toxic situation and you're not happy with the situation and you do better someplace else. If you'd rather be closer to home and you want to leave the school, I see it. Like, I have an athlete I'm working with who is in college now, got him into college, got him exposure, marketed him, plays lacrosse. He's not happy with the team, the school where he is. He wants to live closer, go to school closer to home. So he's going to enter the portal. Okay. I had another player who was a soccer player, is a soccer player. And this young woman entered the portal and contacted me because I marketed her to colleges. And a little story about that. Okay. I'll call the school out, right? High Point University. Okay. High Point. Soccer program. The coach did something awful. Okay. So I'm marketing this athlete in high school. And when I'm marketing her, she got an offer from High Point. Now we had like 33 schools. I had 33 different schools at all different levels that were interested at some capacity, at some level at this player. Got an offer from High Point. So I'm going to do what I do. And I contacted some schools and, hey, by the way, just so you know, she got an offer from High Point. Just let you know, if you want to swoop in, she already got a D1 offer. Done. That's how it's done. Okay? Coaches, college coaches do it all the time. They will go to a player and say, you know, your friends are coming here, and if you want to come here, they're going to come here, and they will do that and use that to kind of sweeten the pot to try to get you to come in. Well, this coach didn't seem to like that. So what he does, instead of contacting me directly, this is what he did. He wrote an email to me, but he CC'd the athlete, who was a 17-year-old young woman, okay? CC's her. I'm leaving all names out of this, but this clown CC's her, and in the email he writes, I just thought you want to. I find this you using our name is inappropriate to market to use us to market an athlete and blah blah blah. And I don't want you could jeopardize this athlete's scholarship offer. And then at the very end, he then writes, "Oh, but to her." Yeah, but it's not going to affect you. We're fine. I just want to let you know what this person's doing. And he sends it to her when she's in class. So what is she going to do? She's going to melt down and freak out. She freaks out, tells her parents. They freak out. They get all pissed. And then they come at me, and I'm like, well, I saw it too. I got you. And we started talking about it. I said, listen to me. This is how it's done. He just doesn't like the fact that it was done to him. He will use it all the time. I've had coaches tell athletes I've worked with, if you talk to any other school, we're going to think you're not serious and we're going to pull our offer. They do it all the time. They use other athletes to lure you in to come to their school. Your friends are going here, we're going to pull you in. I had a guy from University of Connecticut contacted his son, and he told him that. He said, if you talk to any other school, we're going to think you're not serious. We're going to pull your offer. Father calls me up and says, what should I do? I said, what do you think? I said, well, would you want to play for a coach that offers you an ultimatum like that? I said, it's your kid's future. He can talk to whoever he wants to. Nothing's set in stone until you sign it. Once you sign your academic aid agreement, your scholarship, then you're good, right? I had another coach from, what was that, Western Michigan, who offered a player I was working with, a defensive lineman back in like 2013, offered him a deal, okay? Nothing signed yet, so we're going to have you play for us. And he told him, if you talk to any other schools, we're going to pull your offer. And the father's like, well, and he scared the father, scared the kid. And I said, look, I got you a full ride offer from UTEP. This guy's giving you a partial offer. I got a full ride offer from UTEP. They have two offers out. One's to a quarterback, one's to you. They want you so bad. University of Texas, El Paso. I told the father, I said, you got to entertain this coach. Well, the coach told me, Western Michigan, that if we talk to this another coach, he's going to think we're not serious and he's going to pull the offer. I said, look at his offer sheet. How many different linemen? I mean, they've offered 72 players. How many linemen are there? About 15 different linemen. They had 4-star, 5-star, all different linemen. They offered everybody. So they're going to offer a bunch of other players. Then you should be able to talk to whoever you want to talk to. Don't let them intimidate you. But this is what some college coaches do, that crap. It's part of the game, right? But this guy did it to this young woman, which is a bunch of crap. And I was not happy about it, and parents were not happy about it either. I understand that. So I said, we're going to stop working. We're good. They did what they had to do. I said, just give you a word of warning. Before you go, all right, this is our last email together, I'm letting you know what this coach is doing is unprofessional, and what he's doing is very toxic. So do you really want to have your daughter play for a coach that would use this kind of tactic and intimidate her while she's in class? Okay. Fast forward 2 years later. Get an email out of the blue from the mother of the daughter, and she says to me, and she says, look, it was very nice email, and said, you know what, you were right. We should have listened to you before. We apologize. We are all new to that. And my daughter's having a very tough time at the school, very toxic environment, the way the coach is treating her, and wants to leave the school and enter the portal. So I built the highlight video helped her build her highlight video, showed me a bunch of clips, and I put the highlight video together to get up on the portal and helped her market to some other schools too to get her more exposure. And we had a bunch of schools interested, and she ended up going to a really good school where she wants to be, closer to her family, which is awesome. I'm incredibly happy for her. Okay, that's the right way to use the portal. Okay, that's the right way. If you're trying to get out of a team in a bad situation to improve your situation, you enter the portal that way. That's smart. If you're trying to get closer to home, enter the portal that way. That's smart. If you're not playing, it's been some time, and you've given the team a chance, but you're not developing, enter the portal. Cool. But if you're just chasing more money and you're going to enter the portal right away after 1 year, you've given your commitment to a college coach. They've worked hard to recruit you. They're working hard to develop you. You've given your commitment, but you're going to bail out. That's the wrong answer. But that's been done. That's what you're doing now. They want more and more money. And you have other coaches who are trying to steal them away. There was one player who entered the portal and had I don't even get his name. I just saw it yesterday. He entered the portal and he had a do not contact flag on his profile. Do not contact. Translation, he already has an offer. He entered the portal, so he's going to go to another team. Now, you're not supposed to talk to a kid before they enter the portal. That's called tampering. But there it was, and you don't know who did what, can't prove it. So there you go. So the portal is a hot mess now. And coaches, you created this. The players sued to get it. You let it happen. NCAA, you let it happen. Now it's so far gone. It's been going on for 2 years now. There's no way out of this. There's two ways out of this. 2 ways. One, you follow my rules that I had, my suggestion from an earlier episode. You can find it on YouTube channel where I mentioned have the NCFL, the National Collegiate Football League. You create a separate league and you sign these players to contracts. 5-year, 3-year, 2-year deals. Sign them to the contract. If they want to leave during their contract and get out, then they have to be bought out of their contract or buy themselves out of the contract. It's called an exit clause. That's why they say, well, coaches can leave whenever they want to leave. Right, coaches can leave, but that's called an exit clause. They either have to pay, like in some cases, $750,000. So they have a $5 million contract. They may have to pay $750,000 to get out. Or the team where they're going, like when Saban left and DeBoer came out from Washington to Alabama, he had an exit clause. So most likely Alabama paid his exit clause to get him out of his contract so he could go play for them. That's what you need. NCAA needs to have a contract that's minimum 2 years, okay? Maximum 5. 4 years in a red shirt. And then the player signs the deal. If they want to leave early, then they can pay their way out of it or get paid to get out of it. Well, it's kind of the same thing. Well, no, because now you have a team that's going to, they're going to have to pay X dollars to get the player, or the player's going to have to pay for himself. And it should be a minimum. You have to honor at least 2 years of the deal. That's what should happen. At least 2 years. Because if you're there for a year, why are you even recruiting the kid if he's going to be there for a year? You spend all this time to recruit them. You watch them since they're like in 8th grade, right? You're studying their film and talking to them and trying to woo them to be on your team and visiting them and having them come visit you. And then they come to your school, they sign a letter of intent, they sign their academic aid agreement, they got their scholarship, and then they get paid, and then they're out. And they're out. So they paid $5 million for a kid to come play for your team, and after a year, they're gone. You should have to honor that money for a longer period of time. If you're paying a kid $5 million for the year, it shouldn't even be paid all up front. It should be paid back-ended. That's another thing I mentioned for the NCFL. You set up the contract, you say, look, I'll pay you $5 million, but you're not going to get the full 5. You're going to get part of it now, and more of it later. The longer you stay, the more you get. But this is what you're going to get for your whole time here. That's not what's happening. And that comes from name, image, and likeness money. You know, the NIL money, when you started on that, NIL used kids athletes need some money so they can go hit the clubs, so they can buy themselves food, or they can buy clothes. It's not fair to the athletes, so they can have somebody to kick it with on the weekend. That's how it used to be. So, okay, we'll get some athletes, some money. And it was going to be a business like a gas station or a car dealership or a fast food place who will pay the athletes to be a sponsor of their brand. Okay, some athletes do it now. Okay, one field hockey player, Riley Heck, she's STX, Athleta, Lululemon, a bunch of different brands are paying her to sponsor their stuff. Cool, phenomenal player. That's how it's supposed to be. But then the colleges, because friends of the program, they love the ability to pay for play. And they said, ooh, well, this is and I have a show on that too. Go back and watch it. Hey, this is golden. We can do pay for play. We can create up a NIL collective that is a 501c3 nonprofit where all these wealthy donors can throw all this money to our collective, and then we could pay these athletes by setting up some camp and putting their name on a camp or some lecture or some BS, and then we pay those athletes millions of dollars from the 501c3, and it's a nonprofit, so you get to deduct the money you pay off your taxes. So then we have the House, so that went crazy, and then the House versus NCAA settlement happened, and now they said we're going to get rid of the collectives and we're going to pull everything back to the schools. So now, because I don't know why you have a collective, because we knew what was happening. Before it was that separation. You don't want to have the worlds collide. Yes, your college is here, but your collective is here. And as long as the money got to the school, they don't care how it got to the school. It just, they kept the two entities separate. Well, they know they're cheating. They know they're paying for play. So they may as well just merge them all. So now the colleges are paying kids no money as it is. And that's it. And that's where you are. And it's an absolute hot mess. You're paying kids to play football and basketball. Predominantly football and basketball are the big ones, where they're paying these kids exorbitant sums of money to play. And that's where you stand. So NIL has gotten so out of control, and transfer portal has gotten so out of control with it. So again, the only way to fix it is one of two ways. One, create a contract, collective bargaining agreement, make it into a professional league, rock and roll. Or two, scrap everything and rebuild it from the ground up. Scrap the whole thing and say, we're going to start all over again. But there's another problem with that, because your Power 4 schools and Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC, they are part of the CSC, the College Sports Commission. And the College Sports Commission is a self-governing body who is not under the rule of the NCAA. So they make their own rules, as I've discussed before in a previous episode. They make their own rules. So their rules are X, and then they determine how athletes are paid. So basically they put their money into the money is, the NIL deals are, the NIL deals are proposed, okay? And then they have to put them into a system which analyzes the deal and tell them if it's fair or not, okay? And if it's not fair based on the athlete's play and grades and a bunch of other factors, then it's recommended to them that they don't have to pay it. However, they control the software. So they've already done it, like within 2 months of the new rule, as of July, within 2 months, they already came out and said, yeah, we're going to supersede that suggestion from the system. Screw that. We'll pay them what we want to pay them. It doesn't matter. So what's the point? So you have the wheels have come off the wagon. College football is trash now. It's trash. The bowl games have been lackluster. The playmaking is terrible. There's no passion anymore because you don't have a cultural establishment. Like, it's a little different. I play for West Point, okay? When you play for West Point, you're part of a big culture there, okay? But you have other schools too, like Florida State. they're the culture of Florida State's massive, or Texas, or Auburn, or all these other schools, Notre Dame. It's tremendous, or was, until the portal, because you had players who would come in as freshmen who you've been watching since high school, and you'd watch them develop over 4 years or 5 years, right? And as they develop, you start getting a connection to those players. And when you get that connection, you watch them grow, you want to see them succeed, and you know that next year they're going to come back, and next year they're going to do better, and we can keep improving. And okay, this guy's really good, this quarterback's good, but we need to get him better targets, so we need better wide receivers. Oh, they just recruited this kid, and he's going to come in, he's going to change the game for this kid, and he's a young guy, we're going to watch him develop, and he'll get better in 2-3 years. That's awesome stuff in college football. It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't. Now it's like, oh, he's here for a year. Oh, well, he's gone. I mean, JMU lost all 11 of their starters. It's right here. Lost all 11 of their starters. And then here on, just posted January 2nd, Oregon cornerback Dalen Austin is entering the transfer portal. 6'1", 200-pound cornerback, 23 tackles, 1 interception with the Oregon Ducks. He quit on his team prior to the playoffs. Playoffs are happening. There's still playoff games happening. He's out. He entered the portal. He's done. You're not even, that's another issue. Like, the portal used to open in December. Now they moved it to January. Why are you having the portal open while the bowl games and the playoff games are going on? Why? Why not have it open after the fact? What should happen is your high school players should be recruited first. They should be recruited first. You have signing day, then the portal opens. Or after all the bowl games are done, the minute you're done the playoffs, the portal opens. Not before, not on New Year's Day, right when the bowl games and the playoffs are finished. Then you can enter the portal. If your team is eliminated, then you should be able to enter the portal sooner, right? And you keep the portal open a little bit longer for those players who want to leave the teams who are currently in the championship game. And that's how it works. And you keep the portal open longer, so coaches will wait for that player, those players from the championship team who want to leave, to enter. It's pretty simple. But when you have a player here, this Dalen Austin, who quits on his team, it makes no sense at all. What was the one? Let me find it real quick. Here it is. Iowa State, dated December 30th. Iowa State has lost 42 players so far in the transfer portal and currently has 16 players on their radar for 2026. They lost 42 players on the team. What do you have, 60 players on the team? How many in college football? But they lost 42 players already to the portal. What's the point of having a team in that point? What's the point of having a team? But coaches, you made this. You allowed it to happen. NCAA, you made this. You allowed them to sue. You didn't fight back. You were afraid of the lawsuits. And they keep coming. The lawsuits just keep on coming. They're going to sue for every little thing they can sue for. And they do. And that's the problem. You know, it's so out of control that every player wants to sue for something anymore. And you have crooked parties, right? There's basically three, besides some crooked coaches, you have three crooked parties in this. You have crooked lawyers who are going to take every lawsuit they can because they want a payday. Or they have a bias and they're alumni for different schools, so they're going to take the, let the players sue so they can get their player his own way and get him on the portal and get him away from his team. You have those lawyers, and they mostly just want a payday. You have sports agents who are crooked as hell. I mean, I've heard that some of your NIL agents are getting 25, 30%, right? When your average NFL agent gets 5%. Okay, but these guys are rooking these kids and these parents who don't know, and they're strong-arming these coaches, and the coaches don't want to deal with it. A lot of them don't want to do it. When they're dealing with an agent, they don't want to deal with it. They want to deal with the kid. The transfer portal is out of control, guys. I warned you. I said it. But now it's just ridiculous. And you have young people just entering the portal for no reason. There was a guy who was a preferred walk-on. All right, let me explain this. This guy, his name is Leo Ricci. Okay, he posted it on X. He goes, I was per walk on, and they didn't honor that. I didn't make the team, and they're bringing other kids, so I'm going to enter the portal. Fine, that's your right to enter the portal. Okay, I'm not trying to single him out, but it's just the example that he gave. Right, you're a preferred walk on. First off, walk-ons are lucky to even be considered a walk-on nowadays. See, walk-on culture is kind of gone. Back in the day, coaches would make you a preferred walk-on. You'd be a walk-on and take your chances, or be a preferred walk-on, and then which means you have a good chance of making the team. No guarantee, you're just preferred over the other walk-ons. So when you're a preferred walk-on now, or a walk-on now in the transfer portal culture, don't expect to be picked up by the team, guys. Because if you're a running back with X height and weight and speed, how many others are in the portal that are better than you, who were already playing for another team? It means they were good enough to get a deal from another team and didn't have to be given a walk-on spot. See, college coaches offer a walk-on because it's no risk for them. They have no skin in the game in that. First off, you don't have to sign any paperwork to be a walk-on, okay? You go to the team. They don't pay you anything. You have to still pay to go to school. So for them, it's a win-win. I got a kid who gets to come to school, who, if he's good, maybe he'll make the team. If he's not good, I just let him go and I ignore him, or I bring in someone else and he can ride the pine and he's just happy to be here. That's the desperation move. If you say, I just want to be a walk-on, I have too many athletes to say that. Too many parents to come to me and say, oh, he just wants to be a walk-on at a school. No, you don't want to just be a walk-on at a school. You don't. Because that's like a guy who's dating a girl. I always like to compare recruiting to dating, and it still works, okay? A guy is trying to date a girl, and the girl, she treats him like crap or ignores him, but she strings him along to make him think that she really cares about him. It's like, oh, yeah, I went and got you food, or I went and picked you up. Could you do this for me too? Can you do that for me too? And she's your safety. He's her safety net. So he's there to dote on her and follow her around on her coattails, right? But she doesn't have to date him. She's off dating somebody else. She's always dating somebody. You know what it's like? It's like Jenny and Forrest Gump. Forrest loved Jenny. Jenny would date this guy, date that guy, sleep with this guy, run off, do this. But she always had her safety net, and that's Forrest. And she'd come back to Forrest Gump. That's a walk-on athlete. That's what it is. You're Forrest Gump. You're going to go to Jenny every time the coach, and coach will be off there doing whatever and finding this player and finding that player and doing this and doing that. And then when they need you, oh, no, come here. We still care about you. Come on, come here. I'll use you. I'll put you a little bit on special teams. Oh, cool. I'm getting some time. That's what walk-ons are. You are Forrest Gump. If you don't get a deal, you don't get a deal. If you get a deal, awesome. Find a place. Don't say, I want to be a walk-on for a D1 school, the hot girl at the club, if that Division I school is just going to ignore you. You'd better off going to a D2 or D3 school where you actually will have time to play. Because if you're a walk-on, you're not going to go to the pros anyway, guys. So you may as well just go to a D3 school or a D2 school where you can compete, have a chance to play, be part of the passion, make an impact, get your degree, which is the whole reason for college, and then graduate and have great stories and memories from college. That's what needs to happen. Okay? Some people just love to be part of the culture. They just love to be in the atmosphere. I played for Penn State. I was a walk-on for Penn State. Look, there's some walk-ons at work. I had an athlete, Brett Davis, out of Virginia. During COVID, I played high school football with his father. And his father came to me and said, can you help me out? They canceled his fall football season. Can you market him to colleges? I said, yeah. I said, but it's COVID right now, so they're not going to have any money. So they're only going to offer walk-ons, I'm sure of it, but let's get them out there. So we had like 13 different schools that were actually interested in Brett Davis, right? Talented player, big lineman, awesome. 13 different schools. And he ended up getting JMU, who was a local school. He just said they were going to offer him a walk-on spot. That's all anybody could offer him, is walk-ons, because they had no money. Again, COVID froze everything. That's a rare circumstance. That's a specific circumstance. So he ended up going to JMU, but he worked his ass off, and that's where the walk-on was very different, because he came in there, worked his ass off, and he actually got a scholarship offer after a couple of years being there. That's a good story. He worked his ass off to get it, but it's a rare story, especially with portal. This is before portal became the hot ticket. Back in 2021, the portal went crazy, right? More so, it started kind of in 2021, but it really went nuts 2 years ago, okay, 2023. So this is before that. Now it's different. Now they don't need to walk on. They're going to go to the portal. They're going to grab somebody else. And if you're a walk-on, you're going to still flounder, Forrest. So run, Forrest, run. Go to another school. Don't become a walk-on. That's just my 2 cents. So transfer portal is out of control. This is where we are. How are we going to fix it? Don't know. Is it going to be fixed? Probably not. College football pretty much destroyed? Pretty much. The college football we knew is gone. The only way to fix it, again, is create a different league, like a professional football league, college football league, the National Collegiate Football League, NCFL, or scrap everything and try to rebuild it. Now, there is a way of doing that. I'll talk about that in another show. There is a way that could be done by third parties to get players to create their own league. Again, we'll talk about that in another show. Okay. What do you think? I mean, is it beyond saving? Is it out of control? Do you agree with the portal? I have problems with it. I have a problem with no money too, but let's start with portal. Curious what you have to say. Leave your comments. Let me know. My opinions are my opinions. Until next time, I'm Matt Roberts. Thank you for watching the ProZone. Know your goal. Hey guys, thank you for watching the ProZone. Make sure you check back for more episodes. And if you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what we have coming up next.